Okay, so let me first thank the organizers, particularly Ritesh, and also the rest of them, and also Satiki for introducing me to everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure to participate in this meeting and also talk about some of the recent development that had taken place in recent times, of course, recent developments. So this is roughly the plan of my talk. Many of them are familiar to many of you. So I will, skip some of them if I don't have time. I have 1 full hour, no, for this or right? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
So one. It's okay. So I'm going to. This is the plan of the talk. So I'll talk about mostly scalar Higgs and also a little bit about pseudoscalar Higgs boson, and what is the status of the predictions of these two particles at LHC, resulting from several computations done in QCD as well as in electroweak sector of standard model. Okay, and in particular, I will talk about the mixing of both QCD as well as QED effects when you predict Higgs boson cross sections, and I will also talk about some of the developments in the context of resummation, where you sum up large logarithms to all orders in perturbation theory. And finally, I will say a few words about status of similar computations in the context of Dye-Higgs prediction, which is also one of the hot topics in the context of Higgs bosons studies, and also some developments in the effective field theory approach. Okay, that's basically the broad outline of the talk, my talk. And of course, we have learned quite a lot about the standard model Higgs boson, scalar Higgs boson, and how well it compares with the standard model predictions, both at CMS as well as at Atlas collaborations. Their observations, and you see this mu basically tells you how well we are closer to the theoretical predictions. Of course, these are old numbers, but we can update them also. Okay, so we know that standard model is incomplete, okay, because even though standard model is enormously successful, but it is incomplete. The reason being, we, as this conference, I don't have to actually highlight these points, but of course there are many things that we have not understood, or I could not, or have not so far explained them. Okay, and we also have made several proposals to solve these problems. Okay, and many of them have very interesting consequences that can be tested at the laboratories. And Susie is one of them, and this meeting is meant for that. And of course, there are also some hints to several questions. Okay, so hints meaning, when I say hints, that you have to this is the vast world of signatures, where you have to focus on certain sectors, namely sectors that are sensitive to new physics. One of them is top quark sector, the other one is Higgs sector. And of course, there are exotic signatures that we can actually look for, and also new type of Higgs bosons. Okay, so this is pretty standard. Okay, how do you go about it actually? Of course, from theory side, we wanted to actually, make progress to, the predictions side, particularly, in the top quark sector and Higgs sector, because being heavy particles, they are sensitive to physics of I scale. Okay, so these are the sectors that we should at first we should concentrate. Of course, there are also other low energy sectors like B physics and things like that, where we can actually search for new physics. But at LHC, these two sectors are the most prominent sectors that people would like to look at, both from experimental point of view as well as theory point of view. And in that, if you are going to be interested in these two sectors, let's understand what theory tells about these two sectors, in particular QCD, also electroweak effects, okay, both from fixed order and resummed sides. Also, what effective field theory tells you about these two sectors. Why we want to actually, talk about all this precision and things like that. The reason being that the results that we get, from theoretical studies on many of these observables, they are actually quite approximate if you leave it at, leading order level, because there are a lot of uncertainties resulting from certain inputs that you put in the theoretical computations. One of them is pattern distribution functions, which are extracted from some other experiments and used here. And we'll have to make sure that they are actually suitable for LHC predictions. And also when you compute, higher order calculation corrections to several of these observables, we had to introduce, certain unphysical scales, and we'll have to see how our results are insensitive or sensitive to these scales. And also, input parameters, coupling constant, masses, and things like that, they can also influence your predictions because they are not known, very well. Actually, some of them are not known at all, actually. So we need to be very sure about, how well they are known and how well they influence your predictions. Also, there are other effects like threshold and things like that. One can continue to do the same thing, with the BSM models, or take a specific model or a model independent way. All that you can do it. Okay, each sector, what we can do actually. Each sector is quite a rich sector, as you know, that we can calculate, how many Higgs bosons are produced. That's one, observable that we all were excited about it, in the beginning. Measuring inclusive cross section, and then later, we also wanted to actually look at angular distributions of final states in the name of, fiducial spelling is wrong. So fiducial differential cross sections, rapidity distributions of, final states or Higgs boson itself, or also transverse momentum distributions at low and high PT regions. These, observables can shed light on, couplings and, and other properties of the Higgs boson that was just covered at LHC. Okay. Also, there are already approaches to study such things. People, use this naive method of, multiplying some scaling parameter to every, parameter of a standard model, and then look at, how your prediction change. Of course, such naive approach by multiplying certain scaling parameter, some parameter, it's called kappa scheme or some such scheme. You multiply some kappa to every coupling in the standard model and look at the phenomenology. Of course, they are actually, sensitive to higher order effects, and one doesn't know how to actually perform calculations beyond leading order because they violate gauge invariance and things like that. Okay, so the most reliable approach is the effective field theory approach, where you keep, you retain all the symmetries of the standard model, retain all the, contents of the standard model, like, all the fields and everything, both, matter field as well as gauge fields intact. You don't change anything except that, that the dimension of the operator that you have in your Lagrangian, you actually relax. There's no condition on this dimension actually. So you introduce more operators. Well, if you introduce more operators in, through this higher dimensional operators, you will have a large number of operators appearing in the Lagrangian, and then we can actually study the phenomenology of that actually. And of course, if you introduce higher dimensional operators, they will be suppressed by the scale that you multiply, because you want Lagrangian to have a particular dimension. Okay, so that brings in a new scale in the theory, and that scale actually can be related to the scale of the new physics. And of course, as you can see for dimension 6 for the Higgs in the Higgs sector, if you don't, if you restrict, flavor structure, then there are 59 operators. There's a quite large number. We have, 6-7 terms in the Lagrangian, and we spend all our life calculating things. And if you have 59 operators, and God saves us, to do any decent phenomenology with it. Of course, we are all very strong people. We can we can indeed do. Actually, there are groups in Varsha, say SILH and things like that. They have actually made nice bases out of it. And then there are packages which incorporate all these operators. And then you can even go up to NLO level actually to predict things. Okay. And if you allow certain, if you relax some flavor, structure, allow, all possible flavor violations and things like that. There are about 2,500 dimension 6 operators, and you can actually, say bye to physics of this kind. Actually, of course, one can do tree-level computations, but making any progress beyond that will be beyond the task of present day technology or capability of physicists. Okay, so these are the list of things that one can actually feel very happy about it, that LO was known very long ago for the Higgs prediction, which was not very precise, and later NLO was computed. Again, this was also not so precise, and then people had to go to NNLO, and then it became little precise, and then people went on computing more and more terms in the perturbative expansion, and people could do the resummations. And then, they reached the stage of computing, even n-cube LO corrections to processes. And that was one of the, what we call milestone in the computation of higher order corrections. One of the, so the n-cube LO computation was one of the state-of-the-art computation that was performed, in higher order computation, that the group in Zurich did this excellent job. And then we have the most precise result for the production of, to inclusive cross-section particularly. We have the results actually. And then we have, looked at other observables like transverse momentum distribution, rapidity, and then also, mixed, QCD electroweak corrections at NLO level. That NLO corresponds to, roughly 3-loop computations. And also looked at, beyond fixed order. Okay, so all that why we are doing actually, all that we are doing because we wanted to, unfold or understand this, shape of the, Higgs potential. In particular, the term that it is in the first term in the Lagrange, measure the mass of the Higgs boson by precisely measuring the various cross sections, and it can also have implications in understanding the other two terms, which are basically predictions in the standard model. And if the standard model is right, then the measurements from the first term, based on the first term, should actually give you precise predictions for lambda 3 and lambda 4, and which can be tested in the laboratory. Okay, so this, if you have, if you could test all the 3 terms, then we can feel very proud that we have very good theory. If there is any deviation, when the measurements, with the predictions for lambda 3, lambda 4, then that is also a good news, because that tells you about whether we have anything new. So the reason why we wanted to actually make precise prediction is to actually to really predict other quantities, lambda 3, lambda 4, as precisely as possible, so that can be tested in laboratories like LHC, where the precision is one of the reason main goals actually that they will come up with. So this will be helpful actually. So what are we talking about? We are talking about first inclusive cross section. Inclusive cross section, when I say it's it's just simple formula where you just fold the flux of the incoming patterns with the calculable cross sections, Partonic cross sections, and these Partonic cross sections, when you compute, okay, it has several pieces actually. As you can see in this page, that in violet, something that I have highlighted here. I don't know whether I can use any marker. I don't have any marker here in my screen. Anyway, so if you look at this violet thing, you can see that there are several parts to this cross section. Okay, it starts with LO, NLO, NNLO, n-cube LO. Okay, they sound like very rhythmic, and you can make fun out of it. But of course, these are the computation that actually gives you very precise results, so that you can compare against experiments. Okay, and get your mass MH to be 125 or whatever. if your cross section is not this precise, of course, you can actually say that the Higgs boson could be Higgs boson of some other theories, not standard model actually. So this even though this this long plus of 8 terms in this expression really plays an important role actually to pin down that the Higgs boson that was discovered at the LHC is the Higgs boson of the standard model actually. Okay, and the components I have given here actually. Also, these are not simply minuscule corrections. They are actually very strong, large corrections. And also, the corrections that people have taken into account are unimaginably precise, in the sense that people have taken into account what is the scale and errors that is coming from choice of PDFs and inclusion of heavy quarks in this effective theory approach, and also how these results are affected by the coupling constant. Coupling constant alpha s is even though it's precisely known, it is not that precisely known that you can claim that we can compare it against this third order predictions of the in the X sector actually. This is the summary of what people have achieved in 2019, it's a few years back, okay, based on the three third order computation actually. As you can see, this this the one that I have given here in the small box, LO, NLO, NNLO, N cube LO. As you can see, I mean, if you just rely on NLO, 15 picobarn, okay, the X that was discovered could have been could actually be very well belonging to some other theories. Okay, thanks to this precise computations, like it went from 15 to 38 to 45, and it stabilized at 45 at N cube LO. Okay, so you can ask why 45 0.1 and 45.2 at N in LO and N cube LO. If you look at the error that people have the uncertainty that people have tried to reduce, it has gone from 14. Actually 14 is a very optimistic error. Actually it was if you really relax it is the window of scales on physical scales, it could be several hundred actually. Okay, but it is optimistic just to not to scare people. It's 14 now. 14 it was, okay, at LO level, and it has now reduced to 1.9 actually, which is very precise as far as theoretical computations are concerned actually. Okay, that level of accuracy that we actually can really claim that we have very precise predictions. Okay, and this is a summary of those results at LHC, also at future energies like 14, 28, and 100. There are also estimates of various theoretical errors that is coming from these higher order corrections and choice of PDFs. And this delta PDF is very different from the standard PDF estimates, error estimates. Basically, you just check whether absence of higher order PDFs, N cube LO PDF, how it affects actually, because there is no PDF at N cube LO level, only up to NNLO level that is available actually. So they have all estimated those errors also, and also the errors, if you can look at it actually, the percentage of errors, they are quite small actually compared to any other thing. So we have reached the stage that we can really claim that that these results are really precise. Okay, these are the final numbers that these groups have given us. But MH by 2, it is about 44.31 at 13 TeV and 44.14, and the error, theoretical error, is 0.31 to minus 0.264. That those are very small. Okay, this will give you an idea of how good the computations are. The blue band actually is NNLO, and you can see the red one, the middle one, the smallest one, that is from the N cube LO results. And the band actually comes by varying various quantities like scale, choice of scales, choice of the coupling constant, whatever allowed range of the coupling constant that we use in this. Okay, and also the masses, electroweak effects, and all that actually. So taking into all uncertainties, okay, we can see that the red line tells you how precisely this cross sections are known, but various energies actually. And people have also taken
Ravindran, you have about 7 minutes.
How much?
About 7 minutes.
7 minutes left, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. I will try to finish it, actually. So we can actually go ahead and, calculate, electroweak effects. That is also known. It is a 3-loop corrections. And this is a summary of, this IX that people have computed, where you can put in all the effects in a simple package and look at, how sensitive your results are with collider energies. Okay. This is also another summary where you can see, it is more like, shopping list kind of thing, just you can list, what are the things that people have computed and what are the effects, the tiny contribution, the error on them actually. So this is something. Okay. Next, people have gone beyond and, gluon fusion, that is a dominant process, particularly, BB bar. And then in the BB bar, people have looked at, electroweak effects. And then those are tiny effects because N-cube LO, if you are, comparing, okay, and you should know actually the tiny correction resulting from some subdominant channels if you are really talking about inclusive predictions, because as inclusive prediction includes all the inclusive processes that we are talking about. So all of them are there. Okay, this is also another place where you can look at vector boson fusions. People have looked at vector boson fusion cross section at NNLO level. And then you can also look at, by putting cuts on them, for example, rapid, PT distributions, where you can put several of these cuts. The codes that are available can be directly compared against the protection channels, because this channel is actually, easily distinguishable from gluon fusion channel because it comes with 2, fine jets along with the Higgs boson. Okay. So in this context, people looked at, differential distributions. Sorry? Hello? Yeah. So differential distributions are another place where you can actually study properties of the Higgs boson, particularly couplings and things like that. Okay. And in this context also, there is enormous progress. Okay. Particularly, for the gluon fusion to Higgs, there's N3LO results that are already available. And you can see this, the middle one, the red one, tells you that how well these corrections are known. The width of the width of these lines tell you that how precisely they are known actually. And this is also one plot where people have done this analysis with with their code NNLO jet, where you can incorporate even N-cube LO corrections and also apply the cuts that which experimentalists use actually, these fiducial cuts. And then they could also make comparison with the experiments. Actually, experiments, at LHC, the results are available for PT distributions. Okay, PP going to X plus 1 jet or 2 jet, 3 jet with the fiducial cuts. And these codes are capable of handling those cuts very nicely. And one can also make comparison with the data. Actually, these are the comparisons with the real data coming from experiments. Okay. So this is I would say this is one of the state-of-the-art result as far as differential distributions are concerned. So people have all reached the stage that they have results at N-cube LO, where they can apply all these fiducial cuts and compare against the experiments. This is also another cartoon where you can see that the PP going to Higgs, 6 going to ZZ star, 4L plus 1 0 Z, 1 jet, 2 jet, etc. You can actually look at up to 3 jets. They have predictions and compared against the experiments, both the CMS data as well as LHC. The comparisons, they are not great, but that as within the error, they are working very well actually. And going beyond this fixed order competition, I'll show a few slides about how well one can go beyond this N-cube LO. So going beyond N-cube LO, of course, we have to go to 4-loop corrections, but that is very hard at this stage. So what people do is actually they look at what are the large corrections, where exactly the large corrections are resulting from, and whether these large corrections are appearing at every order. If it appears at every order, you better resum them actually. So this goes in the name of resummation. So you look for large corrections from a particular type of terms, and then you try to sum them up. Okay, so you can see that this transparency I've shown what are the large terms that can come from all these Feynman diagrams that need to be summed to all orders. So that is also now underway. People are trying to sum up all these large logs. Some of the simplest ones are called soft plus virtual terms, which is in the first line, and then next to soft plus virtual is the logarithmic terms that you need to sum up actually. That can be summed up very nicely using some resummation approaches. Okay, and this just theoretical formulas just tells you how well you can sum up all the large towers of so these are certain predictions that you can show. For example, for the GG goes to X predictions, we can see the red line as a function of mu r and mu h. You can see that that it is almost flat, which means it's almost independent of the choice of scales. So we can actually, by taking into account all these higher order effects, to taking also into resummation contributions, you can actually reach the stage where the results are highly insensitive to the choice of scales. This is also in the case of pseudoscalar, okay, which is done by our group, where we could show that the inclusion of these threshold effects in these cross sections actually reduce theoretical uncertainties. And also we can also go beyond SV corrections, which goes under the name of next to SV, and you can perform again the certain resummation. That means you can sum up all the next to leading logs to all orders in perturbation theory, like in Mellon space they call 1/n corrections. These 1/n corrections you can actually sum up all of them in some certain particular fashion, and then you can make predictions. Okay, and these are the two plots which tells you that how this inclusion of certain next to soft terms, soft plus virtual terms, can affect your cross sections. Okay, this table tells you how they can change your cross sections, however small they are. Actually, they are important because you are talking about n-cube corrections, which is very tiny. Okay, tiny corrections, of course, are also important because the uncertainties are small, if in such corrections. Okay, so one needs to include them. And recently, this is unpublished work. We have looked at even pseudoscalar prediction, pseudoscalar Higgs boson prediction, and looked at this soft plus virtual as well as next to soft plus virtual corrections. Okay, so this is summary of this actually, that we have results. If you look at the last dot, you can see the error. If you include all these higher order effects and resummation effects, the corrections are extremely insensitive to the choice of scales. Okay, so I think I'm almost through. Okay, and this is also some plot which tells you how insensitive these resummed effects, resummed corrections are to the unphysical scales. Okay, and this is in the context of BB bar. We had looked at BB bar effects also, BB bar to Higgs, and there also this. If you look at this this top figure, you can see that the errors go down as you increase the order of perturbation theory. Okay, so we have looked at other observables also, like rapidity distributions and things like that. I think I don't have time now. I think my time is up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll stop here. Okay.
Summarize. Yeah.
And I'll summarize. Basically, what we have done so far is actually we have managed to achieve both inclusive as well as fully differential at n-cube LO and QCD, and NLO for mixed QCD QED. Okay, this is for the single X prediction, and the story continues for the di-X prediction also, that there is enormous progress in the context of di-X prediction, where already the results are available at n-cube LO level. Okay, I can show you one plot where for the di-X prediction, we have a state of the result, which is coming from gluon fusion. The group in Paris have done this, and then they've shown that like single X boson prediction, di-X boson prediction can also be predicted at n-cube LO accuracy, and the uncertainty coming from scales and things like that get reduced within 2 to 3%. This is one of the state of the art results actually. Okay, and in our group in India, we are now trying to include the bottom quark effects in this. Okay, this is the glue fusion. We are now looking at how bottom initiated process. For example, two bottom quark can give you TIX, and then we can look at higher order effects. So to summarize, I skip my discussion about effective field theory approach. Okay, to summarize that quite a lot is known in last 20 years or 25 years in an effort to predict cross sections for the Higgs boson as precisely as possible. As precise when I mean, actually we have reached the stage that third order results are available for inclusive as well as differential distributions, and also third order results are available for resummed quantities where you sum up logarithms, large logarithms to all orders in perturbation theory. So these are two phases of these cross sections. One is fixed order, the other one is resummed. In both cases, we have reached the stage that things are known to third order level actually. That I would say is one of the important achievements in the context of predictions, precise predictions in the Higgs sector. So I again would like to thank the organizers for allowing me to talk about these works. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravindran, for this very nice and comprehensive summary in the Higgs sector. It's a pity that there's a lot more to talk about it. We can have a couple of quick questions. I see already Sanjay raised his hand. So Sanjay first, and then Manoranjan.
Yeah. So I was just curious, Ravindran, even though you look at NQLO results, still they are at the few percent level. So eventually, when we get to higher and higher data, we may need is the precision of sub-percent level. But I see at the same time, your PDF uncertainty kind of hovers around 2 to 3%. So can you comment how are you going to, eventually you have to control that. Without that, the prediction will never go down.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say, of course, if you look at this, that whatever summary that I had written, I'll show you one of these pages where you can see how well the PDF is also known. Here in this, okay, this delta PDF actually, it is not a choice of PDF. Okay, that is one thing. What PDF that we'll use. This is, the delta PDF is defined by the following quantity actually. I'll tell you what is delta PDF. Delta PDF is just basically deep, for example, when you are talking about N-cube-LO cross section, we need to multiply, this pattern level cross section computer known at N-cube-LO with the PDF known to N-cube-LO level, then N-cube-LO accuracy. Unfortunately, there is no PDF at N-cube-LO as you mentioned, but you can estimate what is the error. Apparently, this error turns out to be roughly 1.85% actually. Okay, this is, it's not small, but this is all we can do it actually. So as far as Higgs boson is concerned, I would say it is not really worrisome actually if you compare it with alpha S and things like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So of course because Higgs and top are lucky, I would say, because the region in which the PDFs are actually required, the X region that is required for both Higgs boson as well as top quark, this is a lucky situation. If you look at other particles, other production channels, the N-cube-LO, NLNO PDF that we have may not be good enough actually. Okay, so I mean, one cannot reduce further, because unless, there are measurements from some other sectors like Drellian production and things like that, which are, you can actually improve. But, really going to NQLO, I think it is beyond anybody's, it's quite complicated competition. That will take.
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
I think I have.
And so next and last question that we'll be able to take is from Manoranjan.
Hi, Ravi.
Hi, Mona.
Hi. Nice to listen your talk after a long time. So I have a question that related with the PT of the Higgs. How well do we understand it? You have shown the results, but I didn't really get it.
Well, this is the PT of the,
Higgs
you are talking about
differential.
this one?
Yeah. So I see the three plots. PT
Yeah.
of J1, J2. What is this?
The three plots, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are basically, predictions of basically comparison of predictions from this Zuri group, okay, who have computed, this group, Zuri group has computed or, prepared a, kind of a nice program in the name of NNL, using NNL JET, which can actually compute cross sections at NNLO level, okay, with fiducial cuts, which is very hard to do actually, because inclusive cross sections are easy to compute theoretically. Fiducials are very difficult. Somehow they managed to do this, and these are the comparisons. So this is PT of the first jet actually. This PT1 actually means this is a PT of the first jet, jet 1.
No. What I'm saying that PT of Higgs.
Yeah.
This is the PT of the jet. That means this is the QCD jet, not the Higgs, right?
Yeah, it is not, this is the Higgs plus 4L. The Higgs decays into this 4L, right?
Higgs decays into the 4L. So
Yeah.
is it the PT of the 4L system? Or
No,
PT of the accompanying
it is not
jet?
PT of that actually. It is PT
Sorry?
of the jet, no? Jet actually. You can also look at, PT of the leptons. There are 3 or 4 possibilities, no? Same sign, like, E, mu, mu, or all E's, E plus E minus, E plus E minus, or E plus E minus, B plus B
No,
minus.
Ravi, what I'm saying that suppose if you take into account the 4L, okay,
Yeah.
which is coming from the Higgs decay.
Yeah.
Now, if I try to see the PT distribution of the Higgs,
Yeah.
which is basically the PT of the 4L system.
No. This is a extra jet that we are talking about. See, it is like a Higgs plus jet when you are looking at an observable. Okay. So Higgs plus jet is what actually you produce.
No,
Higgs.
that is okay. This is basically the jets accompanying
It is a
jets.
standard QCD jets along with the Higgs. That is
Okay. No, my question is
Yeah.
PT of the Higgs. How well do we understand it?
PT of the Higgs in this context,
Yeah.
you'll have to look at the PT of the 4 leptons. No?
Yes.
Yeah. So, the Higgs already decays into 4 leptons. And here actually they assume, the narrow width approximation or something like that. The Higgs that are produced are almost on shell. That decays into ZZ star and then going to 4L. So if you want to look at PT of the Higgs, you'll have to look at, this PT of the,
No, this is my question. For example, if Higgs decays to 2 photons or the 4 leptons, then the PT of the Higgs is measured. Now the question is, how well do we understand theoretically the PT distribution of Higgs? Because
I don't know whether there is a plot actually here. Okay, I can look at the paper whether they have such, predictions or comparisons. If there are data, probably that paper contains the comparisons. I don't remember now. But this one is definitely, the jets that are produced in association with the Higgs boson. That Higgs decays into 4
I'm not
leptons.
talking about these jets. I'm talking about the PT.
May I, sorry, with apologies, may I, it is an interesting discussion, but we are close to 20 minutes late already, and we have 2 more speakers.
Okay.
So if it could be, Ravindran, if you can quickly address the question, and then we move to the next
I
speaker.
think, I got your point. but I don't have any plots for that actually.
No, okay, we'll talk offline
Yeah, sure.
because it is very important because of the other reasons.
Sure. Okay.
The Hytel, there is little disagreement.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, it was an interesting discussion, but in the interest of time, we will have to move to the next speaker.
Thanks,
Um,
Aditi. Thanks to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this excellent overview.